This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. Asajj Ventress is sent on a mission by Count Dooku to go and to take out Republic forces above the world of Sullust. The battle is going poorly, and at the same time, Dooku is contacted by his master, Darth Sidious, who demands for Dooku to go and kill Ventress, since she's becoming very powerful, and Sidious will see this as Dooku trying to replace him, and with this, Dooku is forced to comply to his master's wishes, and Ventress is shot down into the hangar of one of the Separatist ships. Anakin and Obi-Wan also follow her. She calls Dooku for help, who leaves her to die, and orders a tactical droid to fire upon the ship she is in. Ventress, enraged, goes and attacks Anakin and Obi-Wan, who fend her off. They are able to escape, the same with Ventress, although she barely escapes the destruction of the ship and is left to float in the wreckage. Sidious is pleased that Dooku has gone and executed Ventress and thanks him for his loyalty. And Ventress is found by someone who came to salvage wreckage from the battle to sell. And after dealing with him, she goes to Dathomir and reunites with her people, the Nightsisters. They take her back in and perform a ritual on her, where she begins to see what happened in her past, including how she was sold into slavery. Her slave master was killed. She was taken in by a Jedi, and the Jedi was also killed. She turns to the dark side and joins Dooku, and then remembers him once again betraying him, which just happened. Ventress wants revenge, and Mother Talzin, the head of the Nightsisters, agrees to help. Using dark side magic, she cloaks Ventress and their two best warriors so they can go in and attempt to assassinate Dooku at his palace. And with this, they're also given Jedi lightsabers, so in case if Dooku does survive, he will think it's a Jedi assassination. They're also given a dart, which will dull Dooku's senses, so he has a harder time fighting. Going to infiltrate Dooku's palace on his homeworld of Sereno, Nightsisters go in and poison Dooku. They do get into a fight with him, but Dooku is able to fend them off, and they are forced to retreat. Ventress is furious and wants to continue her revenge, but Mother Talzin has a new plan since Dooku is powerful and they cannot go and underestimate him. So she goes and contacts Dooku and offers to give him a replacement apprentice for Ventress, and Dooku does accept this. He comes to Dathomir to meet with Talzin and go through the specifics, and Talzin tells him that she will give him a warrior on the capability level of Darth Maul, which does impress Dooku. She says she does not want to join his war and just repay a debt to him that she has. And after he leaves, Ventress looks up at him, wanting revenge and knowing that she will be getting it soon. She then travels to a Night Brother village where she goes to confront the members and see who's the most powerful member of the tribe so they can be transformed into their warrior. And with this, she goes and tests them and eventually gets down to two people, two Night Brother brothers, Feral and Savage. And she's eventually able to put them at her mercy, but Savage sacrifices himself to her so his brother will not be killed. He is brought back and transformed with Nightsister magic into a monster who is far more powerful in the Force and is told to execute his brother. He does this mercilessly and is sent to Dooku. Dooku is impressed by him and wants to give him one test and sends him to the world of Deveron to take out a small Jedi outpost. Savage, using a Nightsister infused blade, goes and kills a master and his Padawan and returns to Dooku, who is impressed by what Savage can do and tells him he will become more powerful than the Sith Lord Darth Maul, and together they can kill his master Darth Sidious and rule the galaxy together. Delta Squad goes and retrieves the bodies of the Jedi who died and brings them to the Jedi Council, who are devastated by the loss. And Dooku goes and begins to train Savage even more, giving him a double-bladed lightsaber. The Jedi are also discovering that there is a new Zabrak warrior going and killing Jedi. Obi-Wan is shocked and at first thinks it is Darth Maul, but Yoda says that he is dead and is likely from the same species on Dathomir. Obi-Wan is slightly surprised, thinking Maul was from a different world, but Yoda corrects him, saying that Maul was from the world of Dathomir. And Obi-Wan and Anakin go to investigate as Dooku goes and continues to train Savage. He tortures him with force lightning when he fails to be able to lift pillars, and Savage is able to use his pain and anger to lift the pillars as he's getting hit with lightning. Anakin and Obi-Wan go to the Night Brother village, and Anakin takes their leader hostage, telling them to tell him what he wants to know, and they just send him to the Nightsisters. Anakin and Obi-Wan continue on as Dooku sends Savage on a mission to go get the King of Toydaria, since he rejected him and joined the Republic. Dooku tells him to bring him alive, and Savage goes off on his mission. Anakin and Obi-Wan go to Mother Talzin, who goes and sends them to Toydaria, saying that's where this new monster is. And after this, Talzin goes to Ventress, telling her that they cannot keep Savage's secret any longer, and they need to go and enact their plan now. Although Ventress thinks that it's too early, Talzin believes they can succeed. Meanwhile, on Toydaria, Savage goes to get the king and begins to easily take him once Obi-Wan and Anakin arrives. In the fight, Savage kills the king and goes to retreat. Anakin and Obi-Wan pursue him. With their ship being destroyed, they take one of the Toydarian fighters. And when Dooku sees that Savage has killed the king, he begins to torture Savage for failing him in not bringing back the king alive. And Ventress does arrive. Dooku orders Savage to kill her to prove his loyalty, but Savage reveals he is a double agent and goes to kill Dooku. Anakin and Obi-Wan have infiltrated the Separatist ship and are going to try to take down Savage, as Savage is being brutally destroyed by Dooku in a fight, and Ventress isn't able to hold out against her former master on her own. Savage is angered that Ventress is using him, and he goes and tries to kill both of them. Realizing he can't, he goes and escapes from the ship, and Ventress also tries to escape. Dooku orders for the droids to take down Savage, and Anakin and Obi-Wan see him escape, being very confused by this. Ventress is forced to escape also, and the Jedi make it off the ship. Savage is angered and goes to Mother Talzin, saying that Ventress betrayed him, and Mother Talzin comforts him and puts him on a new quest to go find his lost brother, giving him a talisman to help and lead him to the location of his brother, Darth Maul. An ancient Jedi distress signal has been detected, making the Jedi curious. Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Ahsoka Tano have been sent to investigate. They are supposed to meet with Rex, but are not able to communicate through to him, and a large monolith appears in front of them, and after a blinding light knocks them out, they awake on a world which they do not recognize, but feel is really strong in the Force. A mysterious woman comes up to them and asks if Anakin is the one, and although they are confused by this, they go and follow her because she says she will be able to explain everything. And going around, they notice some odd things like the seasons being able to change with time, and the two groups are separated into Anakin and the being known as the daughter, and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are separated. The daughter says that she has to go and asks them to stay while she goes and deals with some things, although both Anakin and the others don't listen, with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka trying to go back to the ship, realizing that it is missing, and encounter another being known as the Sun, who says they should have listened to his sister, and the Jedi are forced to run as a terrible storm begins. They go into a cave while Anakin continues on and meets up with a being known as the Father, and the Father offers to let Anakin stay in his home for the night. Inside the cave, both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are plagued by visions, while Obi-Wan speaks to the Force ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn, who tells him more of what's going on here, and this is all relating to Anakin being the chosen one. We see that Ahsoka is visited by a future version of herself, saying that if she remains Anakin's apprentice, she will have no future. Meanwhile, at the father's home, Anakin is visited by a spirit of his mother, and with this, he notices something is wrong and realizes that this is the son who is trying to mess with him. And Anakin goes and confronts the father, thinking he is a Sith Lord. The father explains that he is neither a Sith or a Jedi, but a very powerful Force wielder, and that both him and his children could use the Force in very unique ways. He tells Anakin there is a test he must take to see if he is the chosen one, and if he passes, he'll be able to leave the world with his friends. Going to the test, Anakin sees that the daughter has Obi-Wan Kenobi and that the son has Ahsoka, and he's told he must choose who to save. Although Obi-Wan does say to save Ahsoka, Anakin is able to use the Force to control both the son and the daughter, and with this, he has passed the test and proved he is the chosen one. And the father sends everyone away and wants to talk to Anakin. He tells him that he wants Anakin to take his place because he is getting old and will soon die. And once he does, he won't be able to control his children. And Anakin does refuse. Although the father says he can leave, that his selfish decision will haunt the galaxy. Although Anakin does hear this warning, he still decides to leave and prepares to leave the world of Mortis. Anakin goes to sleep and has a dream where he's confronted by another version of himself who tries to push him towards going to the dark side. Anakin refuses, and this turns out to be the son trying to manipulate him. And the son attacks and takes Ahsoka prisoner. Wanting to rescue his apprentice, Anakin follows him, and in the pursuit, he crashes his ship into the ground. And it suffers major damage, which they have to repair. Meanwhile, inside of the dungeon, Ahsoka is held prisoner, and she is trying to escape. She meets a being that goes and fights her and begins to corrupt her, since it is secretly the son in disguise. The son then goes and attacks his father, knocking him out, and Obi-Wan, seeking to get the father's help instead of going directly after the son with Anakin, is talking to the daughter, and she says there is only one way to beat her brother, and it takes him to get a dagger which will be capable of killing her brother. Meanwhile, Anakin confronts Ahsoka, who has been corrupted by the sun, and begins to duel her master. With the fight Anakin and Ahsoka are doing, the son watches it, as Obi-Wan and the daughter go and confront the son. The two siblings duel, using their immense power, and Obi-Wan tries to get the dagger over, but the corrupted Ahsoka is able to take it, and is giving it to the son, who goes and kills Ahsoka. The son then goes and tries to kill his father, but the daughter jumps in and is stabbed instead. Devastated, the son runs away, and with her dying breath, the daughter decides to use the rest of her power to restore Ahsoka to life, and with the help of the father, Anakin is able to transfer the remaining energy from the daughter into Ahsoka, and the father is devastated at this loss, but tells the Jedi they need to get off this world as fast as possible because the son wants to escape. His powers become far more than the father could contain, and the galaxy is in great danger since the son has killed his sister, that the dark side will become far more powerful in the galaxy. And even though they don't want to leave, they go to repair their ship. And while doing it, they realize that they still need more time to repair it, and since they do have the time, Anakin knows he has to go to the father to get his blessing to leave, because he does not want things to get even worse in the galaxy, and feels that it will if he does not get the father's blessing. Anakin goes to him, and the father is overlooking his dead daughter and buries her with the dagger. And the father says that he does have his blessing and tells him he needs to get off this world as soon as possible. Going back, Anakin is encountered by the Force ghost of Qui-Gon, and with this, Qui-Gon tells Anakin if he wants to do something, he needs to go to the will of the dark side on the planet, and Anakin needs to trust his instincts and training when he goes there. Now the father goes to Obi-Wan and begins to talk with him, telling him where Anakin is going and the potential danger that lies there. Obi-Wan goes to help his friend, and with this, Anakin is confronted by the son there, who tells him that he will show him visions of the future. Not believing him, Anakin doesn't have much of a choice when the sun touches him and he begins to see visions of the monster he will become. He sees visions of the destruction of Alderaan, Darth Sidious, Padme's death, his duel with Obi-Wan, and finally the helmet of Darth Vader as he hears the breathing that will soon become his own. And with this, Anakin is devastated and decides to join the sun so he can prevent this future from happening, and so he can destroy this future emperor, who conveniently hasn't been shown the identity of in the vision. And with this, Obi-Wan comes to the well where Anakin confronts him. They briefly duel, but Anakin goes and shoves Obi-Wan's speeder into the lava and goes to prepare the ship so he can take the sun away. And with this, Obi-Wan manages to contact Ahsoka and tells her what's happened. So Ahsoka is able to disable the ship and run for it. And Anakin is furious, but at this point, the father comes and, realizing Anakin needs to continue his destiny, he erases Anakin's memories of the future, restoring Anakin to who he was before. Meanwhile, the son goes and takes the dagger from his sister's tomb, as he goes and explains to her body that she was the only thing that he truly ever loved. But now he goes to confront his father, but Anakin is there, willing to help the father defeat the son. And devastated by all of this, the father grabs the dagger from his son and stabs himself. This goes and weakens the son, and gives Anakin the opportunity to kill him, since it seems that the son's immortality was taken away the moment his father died, and Anakin goes and stabs him with his lightsaber. Being betrayed, the son dies in his father's arms. And finally, the father, before he dies, talks to Anakin and tells him that he is the chosen one, and gives him a warning to beware his heart. But if he does follow on the path he went on in Mortis, he'll be able to bring balance to the Force and peace to the galaxy. And after the father dies, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka once again reawake inside of their shuttle and are contacted by Rex, wondering where they went since he lost them for a moment. Although they do explain that they've been gone for longer than a moment, that Rex would not believe them if they told him what happened. Jedi Master Evan Peel has been captured by separatist forces containing vital information the Republic needs for the Nexus route, a hyperspace lane that can connect the Republic capital to the Separatist. They are trying to extract information out of him at the Separatist-controlled prison known as the Citadel, originally intended as a prison to hold fallen Jedi. It is the record of no one ever being able to escape from it, and the Jedi do need to go and rescue Master Peel before these coordinates are taken from him. Anakin Skywalker does not want his apprentice Ahsoka to go onto this mission because of how dangerous it is, and Ahsoka does go to talk to Mr. Plo Koon, who does reassure her that Anakin has her best interests at heart, while R2-D2 uses reprogrammed battle droids to fly in undetected, but also to fool the scanners. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and the rest of the clones are all frozen in carbonite, so they cannot be detected by the lifeform scanners. And heading to the planet of Lolista U, the droids go in contact with Separatist Command, who go and scan the ship. Seeing that there are no lifeforms on board, meaning the carbonite trick worked, they allow them to land. Being dropped off, Anakin sees that Ahsoka has disobeyed his orders and join the mission, although she says that Master Plo Koon has assigned her to the mission. Anakin still is suspicious, but Obi-Wan quickly dismisses it, knowing that they need to continue on with the mission. Preparing to climb the wall, they see that jetpacks were useless and they cannot use other methods like grapple hooks since there are mines placed everywhere. So they're forced to free climb it, but a clone does slip and fall, setting off an alarm, alerting the prison's warden. Ahsoka is able to use a small hatch to get into the prison, and they go to rescue Master Peel. They are quickly able to find him, but he tells them that they need to go and find his captain because they've each memorized half of the coordinates. Going to rescue the captain, they have to fight through armies of separatist droids, and Anakin is pulled up to the ceiling when magnets are used because of his robotic hand. Although this proves to be their advantage since Anakin's able to get a hold of his lightsaber and disable the magnet by destroying it. They go and find the captain, who turns out to be Wilhoff Tarkin, and he is very skeptical of the Jedi's plan and it does not want to go and split up, although Master Peel does see the advantage in it. He goes with Obi-Wan and Cody, who go and create a diversion, blowing up a hallway to divert forces towards them, so at least one group can guarantee to escape. With this, Anakin and Ahsoka go into the wall using the old caves to get to the extraction point. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Master Peel are leading a group to another extraction point where they'll be picked up at two locations. Anakin will be picked up just outside of a fuel line, while Obi-Wan is picked up before them at a landing platform. They are sneaking up an air vent, and with it, they are spotted by a probe droid. Although it is destroyed, an alert does go off, closing doors throughout the air vent, killing one clone trooper. Meanwhile, the warden has been contacted about getting the Nexus coordinates by Count Dooku, and he's getting more and more furious as the Jedi continue to elude him. Ahsoka is placed in charge of the company to lead it as Anakin goes and protects their rear. There's also an interesting conversation between Anakin, Tarkin, and Ahsoka talking about how effective the Jedi are in the Clone Wars, and Anakin does agree with Tarkin that the Jedi Code often prevents them from being able to win battles and do what is necessary. Back on the landing platform, R2 and the battle droids arrive, and the tactical droid sends R2 away to be imprisoned, and with this, Ahsoka being trapped at the wall is attacked by commando droids where Anakin comes back and tells her that she was supposed to blow up the wall, which puts suspicion on him since that was part of the plan. And Ahsoka should have known this if Master Plo Koon did put her on the mission. They don't have time for that now and do manage to escape from the commando droids. Back on the hangar, Obi-Wan and Master Peel with the rest of the clones are all captured. And after, they are being interrogated by the warden once again, and he tells them to give them the information, or else they'll start to kill off members of the squad. And they go and confirm that they will not give him any of this and that this is war, so they will be people who die and they are not willing to give up these coordinates because of all the problems it will cause. Sending them away to be tortured, the battle droids under the command of R2-D2 are able to intercept them and move them back to the landing platform. Meanwhile, Anakin, Ahsoka, Tarkin, and the rest of the clones are going through the fuel line so they can make it to the extraction point. And with it, we just see more of how Anakin and Tarkin agree, and Ahsoka doesn't really see the points Tarkin makes. After exiting the vent, they are ambushed by droids and are forced to fight them off, although they're able to use the fuel line they just exited as a bomb so they could manage to escape and go to Plan B, which is to meet up with Obi-Wan on the landing platform. And now the Warden is getting even more furious since the prisoners have both escaped and he hasn't been able to recapture anyone now, and he decides to ignore a call from Count Dooku not wanting to anger the Sith Lord anymore. After this, we just see how things are getting even more intense as the battle droids under the control of R2 do try to just leave, but they are discovered and are forced into a massive battle. But Anakin, Ahsoka, Tarkin, and the rest of the clones do show up to assist them. During the battle, more and more separatist forces show up, and Echo goes and tries to take the shuttle so that they can use it to escape and take out the separatist cannons. But a commando droid does manage to reach the cannons and blows up the ship. This forces them to retreat and contact the Jedi to go and do an extraction plan so they can go and get the next route coordinates back to Coruscant and not be captured. This is extremely concerning for the Jedi, and they're forced to hide on the planet while they wait for contact from the Jedi Council. After they do, they are given the extraction point and begin to head towards it. Meanwhile, the Warden is in contact with Dooku, and Dooku is getting impatient with him, and he needs to get the Nexus route coordinates soon. Meanwhile, the Jedi and clones are being pursued by droids, and the three battle droids programmed by R2-D2 go and sacrifice themselves, giving everyone just enough time to escape. Meanwhile, on a Venator, the Jedi go and plan their rescue mission, noting that if the group is not able to reach the rendezvous point in time, they will have to leave them behind because there is very little time they could be on the planet with how strong the defenses are. Meanwhile, some Anubas are sent out to track down the Jedi, clones, and Tarkin, and they are given orders to the battle droids to just use them to track them down and not kill anyone. Back with the group, they continue to walk, and Anakin and Tarkin continue to talk, and Tarkin mentions how he's a friend of Chancellor Palpatine, and Anakin tells him he is also a good friend of the Chancellor. Although they were ordered not to use the Anubis to attack, they still do attack, and the Jedi are forced to fend them off. Although Master Peel is mortally wounded, and Ahsoka is able to fight off the Anubis. And here, Peel is dying and tells Ahsoka the Nexus route coordinates, even though Ahsoka admits that she was not supposed to be on the mission and she snuck on. Master Peel explains how she is now the most important part of it, since she now has half of the Nexus route coordinates. Continuing on, they go and have a small memorial service for Master Peel, letting his body go off into the sulfur-like lava, and his body is burned away. Continuing on in space, they do manage to break through the blockade and are heading down to the planet. And the Jedi have reached the extraction point and are forced to fight off droid forces. The Warden goes and tries to kill Captain Tarkin, but Ahsoka is able to save his life, killing the Warden. The gunships do arrive, and the Jedi manage to escape off-world. Back on Coruscant, there is a small problem with Tarkin being ordered to bring the half of the coordinates he has to the Chancellor, while Ahsoka is following Master Peel's dying wish to only reveal it to the Jedi Council. Master Yoda says they will resolve this matter, and although they did lose Master Peel, they didn't get a great victory overall, with them being able to get the Nexus route coordinates, which will greatly help in the war. The Republic are fighting once again to take the world of Felucia, and on it, Ahsoka Tano is leading a group of clone troopers, sending them up before her because she feels something in the Force. She is quickly captured by a Trandoshan hunter and taken away to be hunted, dropped off on an island on a Trandoshan moon. She is forced to fight to survive as she's being hunted down by the Trandoshans. On the island, she runs into some Jedi younglings who are also stranded there and goes to hide with them. And with them, she quickly begins to learn that they've been trapped there for who knows how long, and they don't think it's a good idea to be fighting back and just try to survive. Meanwhile, back on Felucia, Anakin is doing all he can to find Ahsoka, and with it, Plo Koon does mention that they've looked over the area many times and she's clearly not there, and they go to return to Coruscant. Back on the Trandoshan moon, we see the Trandoshans as they go to hunt down the Jedi, and with it, Ahsoka is given a lecture by one of the younglings, Khalifa, who tells her that they can't go and save others because here they are not Jedi, they are just targets for the Trandoshans. Ahsoka goes and ambushes one of the Trandoshans and is able to take his blaster from him and escape, although she does learn that they have the weapons programmed so they will not work once they have been taken from the Trandoshans. And with it, Ahsoka is brought back to the younglings' base, and the younglings have been inspired by Ahsoka to go and try and take down the Trandoshans, and now they're going to go look for their base so they can try and take it. The next day they go, and Ahsoka and Khalifa are separated from the group and are attacked by one of the Trandoshans named Dadar, who was the son of the leader of the rest of the Trandoshans. They begin to fight, and in it he does manage to kill Khalifa, but is killed in the fight with Ahsoka, which makes his father furious and vows revenge. Back on Coruscant, Anakin vows not to give up his search for his Padawan, while Plo Koon tells him that whoever she is, she should be fine since Anakin went and trained her. The younglings are devastated by what happened to Khalifa when Ahsoka tells them, but Ahsoka says that she does not want to go down without a fight and plans to ambush the prison dropship when they arrive to drop off new prisoners. With it, they go and attack, and it ultimately fails with the ship going to crash, although they are able to let up any prisoners that are inside. Inspecting the wreckage, a Wookiee named Chewbacca exits out and joins up with the Jedi. Now hiding back in their small camp, Chewbacca suggests building a transmitter from the wreckage of the ship so they can call his home world Kashyyyk to help him. And with this, they go back to the beach and start to go through the wreckage of the ship, and as Ahsoka and Chewbacca are inside, they are ambushed by a Trandoshan who they do barely manage to take down before he could kill Ahsoka and Chewbacca with a sniper shot. After that, Chewbacca is able to build a transmitter, and the Jedi younglings, thinking that it's not going to work, decide to go and attack the Trandoshans base, which I learned is in the sky. And after that, although Ahsoka does think Chewbacca's plan is going to work, she has to go with them because she can't let them die since she could help. Using the Trandoshan they captured, they are able to use the Jedi mind trick to convince him to go and call a speeder to pick him up. And with it, they are able to steal that speeder and begin to attack the Trandoshan's fortress. Meanwhile, the signal has reached Kashyyyk, and the Wookiees are going to rescue Chewbacca. Back on the platform, we see how Ahsoka and the others are doing fairly well, although they are going to be soon to be outnumbered. But the Wookiees do arrive with the help of the bounty hunters who are on the Halo, and with it, they go and manage to successfully rescue the Jedi younglings, Ahsoka and Chewbacca. Ahsoka also kills the father of the Trandoshan and leader of the tribe in combat, and with it, Ahsoka is returned to the Jedi Order, and Anakin apologizes for letting her be captured, but Ahsoka instead thanks him because if it wasn't for his training that he gave her, that she wouldn't have been able to survive this situation. And from there, the Jedi had not gained much, but this is good for Ahsoka to return to the Order. On the ocean world of Mon Calamari, the king has been murdered, and this leads up to a potential civil war with many of the race of the Quarren not wanting Prince Lee Char to take over and wanting to join separatists, while the Mon Calamari side with the Republic. Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala are sent in by the Republic, while Rift Hampson is sent in by the separatists. After seeing how bad the debates were getting inside of Mon Calamari, Anakin and Padme go and contact the Jedi Council, and with it, they believe that a civil war is imminent and that the Republic forces should be sent in since Mon Calamari forces have already been asked to prepare for the attack. They are joined by Captain Akbar, who will later serve as an admiral in the rebellion. And with this, we see as the Mon Calamari prepare for war, as Captain Akbar is set as the prince's main protector. And with this, Rift Hampson is in contact with Count Dooku, and Dooku gives him permission to begin his attack. With this, they go and Hampson leads an army of Aqua droids and Quarren forces to attack the Mon Calamari. And in the fight, the Mon Calamari are fighting back, although Anakin is suggesting that the prince should be led away from the war zone. The prince refuses, saying that he needs to follow his people's traditions and lead them in the front lines. And they are able to hold off as a detachment of Aqua troopers led by Ahsoka Tano and Kit Fisto arrive in gunships. With it, they are able to go underwater and reinforce the Mon Calamari people. With it, they are able to go and push back separatist forces for now. And in the fight, Anakin has his helmet knocked off and is quickly trying to find it before he drowns. Although Ahsoka is able to come and help him, Anakin says he had it fully under control. Although the Republic has managed to get a small victory, the prince is nearly killed by Rift Hansen, and he is barely saved by Ahsoka at the last minute. And although they have won this fight, Kit Fisto believes that this was only the beginning and there will be another attack soon. He is correct, as the Separatists drop in more weapons, including the Hydroid Medusas, a creature from Rift Hansen's homeworld. With it, they are using this to prepare their attack, while the Senator Tills goes to Prince Lichar and tells him to go and demand a full surrender from the Quarren. But Lichar, like the Jedi Master Kit Fisto, thinks that there's another attack coming and this war has only just begun. And he is correct, as the Hydroid Medusas show up, and with how different and unique they are, there is no defense against them, and this leads the Republic into retreat. And even though the Prince does not want to be retreating, the Jedi and Captain Ackbar are able to convince him that it would be a wise decision, since you can't win every battle, and it would be in their best interests to retreat. And they go to hide out on the sea floor in some caves. Meanwhile, back in the city, Rift Hampton contacts Count Dooku once again, who wants an update on the Civil War. And Hampton tells him how the Prince has escaped, this as did the Jedi. He knows they are hiding in the caves, but Dooku knows how dangerous the Prince is and tells him that he needs to be captured quickly because he will serve as a symbol of hope for the people and could have them rising up once again if he is still out there. With this, the Jedi go and contact the Council once again, telling them that they need more reinforcements since they have not done well against the Separatist attack. And the Jedi do say they will try their best, but it will take a while time to go and get them out because it would take time to especially outfit clone units to go and fight underwater. And with this, although they do realize it's going to take too long to have clone units outfitted, they begin to think of alternate ways, and the council eventually decides to go and ask the Gungans for help, since they are both close with Padme and are close to the Mon Calamari system, so they'll be able to go and help them out. And they go to contact the Gungans, who do agree to go and help Senator Amidala and the people of Mon Calamari. The Jedi realize the smartest thing to do is to get the prince off the planet, and with this they go to escape to the ship they have parked just over the oceans of the planet. And with it, Rift Hansen knows this would be their most likely escape method and lets them get within sight of it before he goes and blows the ship up. Although this is definitely a blow to the heroes, Lichar knows that they're vulnerable up there and suggests for everyone to grab onto the debris so they can be brought down to the sea-floor so they can not be spotted and ambushed by the Separatist forces. They do this and go to prepare for battle while they split up into a few groups with Ahsoka, Prince Lichar, and Kit Fisto are heading on the seafloor, and Anakin goes to protect both Senator Amidala and Tills and work with Captain Ackbar to go fight against forces of the Separatists. With this, they're trying to lay low but are ready to defend themselves just in case. And Anakin is leading an attack, so they also need to have the prince away from there just in case they are captured. With this, the prince is surprised to see how so many of his people have been taken and enslaved, and wonders how the Quarren are okay with this. Meanwhile, Anakin is able to use the Force to knock out the planetary scanner, so this will be able to blind the enemy to the reinforcements coming in, and with this, it does make Rift Hampton suspicious, and he has a feeling that an attack is coming, so he goes and sends out his troops to be prepared for battle. And with this, the prince goes and sounds a horn declaring for his people to go to war and not to be slaves and to have hope. He tells them that they will not be prisoners much longer, and the people are inspired by him. But the droids just begin to attack. With this, the Gungan reinforcements have arrived and begin to go and attack and fight with the Mon Calamari to go and reclaim their home. The battle is going good for a little bit, but Separatist forces do manage to overwhelm, and with this, the Jedi and the clones are captured, leaving only Ahsoka and Princely Char to be free and have everyone else be captured. Meanwhile, Tansen goes and takes them to be tortured, having Padme and Jar Jar locked by both their arms and legs, and having the Jedi put in between electric eels so they cannot escape and are electrocuted if they ever try to move. So they're not able to use the Force to really do anything. And with this, they are in a bad situation. Meanwhile, Ahsoka and the Prince are just hiding out and trying to figure out a way they could go to turn this all around. And the Prince realizes that if they could get the Quarren on their side, then the Mon Calamari Quarren and the Gungans would be able to go and outnumber the droids. And he's just to figure out a way to get them all to work together. Meanwhile, the Quarren are completely outraged when one of their leaders, Nosari, learns that the Separatists really don't care about what the Quarren want and are planning to go and just exploit their people. With this, things are getting even worse as Ahsoka and the Prince try to sneak into the prison camps to go and give hope to the prisoners there. And with it, the Prince goes and promises everyone that the next time they see him, he will be their king. They are also led now to Captain Akbar and Senator Tills so he can tell them of his plan to go and unite everyone in Mon Calamari. And with this, the Aqua Droids go and find him, although he allows himself to be captured. And not knowing that the Prince has already been captured, Rift Hampton is going to interrogate the Jedi and breaks a hole into Padme's helmet, saying he will let her die if they don't go and tell him what he wants. When he is informed of the prince's capture, he still leaves Padme to die. And even though Anakin and Fisto try to use the Force to push the water out, continuously being extracted by the eels just continues to mess it up until Jar Jar is able to use some of his waterproof spit to go and seal up the crack in Padme's helmet. And with this, Tansen goes and begins to interrogate Prince Lichar, and the prince goes and begs for the Quarren's help and to their leader, Nosser Ree. And with it, Tansen says that Ree is going to be remain loyal and that he has no allies here, and orders the execution of the prince to show his power as he goes to take control of Mon Calamari completely. And with this, the Corons are finally outraged, and at his execution, they go and help the prince escape. With this, a battle ensues, and the clones, Coron, Mon Calamari, and Gungans, are able to help free the Jedi and fight off the forces of Tamsin and the Separatists. With this, they are able to go and get an ultimate victory, taking out Separatist forces easily. And with this, Tamsin tries to go and kill the prince in a final desperate attack, but the prince is able to shoot Tamsin, blowing him up and ending his life. With it, the Republic and people of Mon Calamari have won, and both sides unite and crown Gleechar as King Gleechar. Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala have been called to Naboo to deal with potential Gungan rebellion aided by the Separatists. Both are concerned and do not think this is possible, and go to meet up with Jar Jar Binks, who goes and confirms that Boss Leone, the new leader of the Gungans, is preparing to gather his forces and march with the Separatists upon Theed. And with this, they go down to Othagunga to speak with Boss Leone. And with it, they see that he is being manipulated by a Gungan named Richelieu, and are trying to figure out what is going on. Quickly realizing that he's under an enchantment caused by a necklace, Anakin pulls it off of Boss Leone, who has now had the control broken and is told what has happened. And meanwhile, we see how Liu has gone and contacted Count Dooku, confirming he is working with the Separatists and has promised a place in Dooku's order when it is established and Naboo has been taken over. But with this, Leone comes in to confront him and they begin a fight. Anakin and Padme come in to help, but Liu manages to stab Boss Leone and escapes. And with this, even though Boss Leone has survived, he has been knocked unconscious and will not wake up for some time. He also has not given the order to not go and invade Theed, and after this, Anakin and Padme feel defeated until they realize that Jar Jar has an almost perfect resemblance to Boss Leone, and with it, they tell him to go and impersonate Boss Leone so they can go and prevent this invasion from happening. Meanwhile, Liu is trying to go and rally the Gungan forces to attack, saying that Boss Leone has been killed. But at the same time, Jar Jar, disguised as Leone, comes out and tells them what the Liu has done to Leone, acting as if he is Leone, and orders for his arrest. He begins to run, and Anakin chases after him. And the Separatist forces have landed, not having been informed in enough time. And General Grievous wants to speak to Boss Leone. So Jar Jar, still taking up the role, goes up and begins to talk to him. And with it, Jar Jar begins to stall for time as General Tarplas goes and contacts Padme to ask her what he should do, and Padme informs him to go and disable the droids and find a way to capture Grievous. With this, Grievous is furious and sees through Jar Jar's disguise, causing him outside. He orders his droids to attack, but General Turplus has managed to go and disable the battle droids. And with this, they go and all attack Grievous. With this, Turplus goes in and sacrifices himself, distracting Grievous long enough for the Gungans to go and capture the cyborg general. And with this, Palpatine is informed of it and goes immediately as Darth Sidious to Dooku, telling him that Grievous has vital importance in his plans and he needs him to be released. Dooku does not see how this is possible, and Sidious tells him to lure Anakin Skywalker into a trap, capture him, and he knows that Senator Amidala will agree to trade Anakin for Grievous. And with this, Dooku does manage to do it, having Luke lure Anakin to his hideout, and with it, he goes and kills Luke, seeing no more use in him. And although Anakin is able to hold his own for a good amount of time, he is overwhelmed by Dooku and his Magna Guards, who take him alive, and Dooku goes and contacts Padme, telling her to trade Grievous for Anakin. And with this, although Padme really wants to let Anakin go, she knows how vital Grievous is to the war, and just thinks that she couldn't release him until Jar Jar is able to convince her that she should not abandon her friend, and although this is the right move to make tactically, it is not the right move to do to a friend, and with that, Padme is convinced by Jar Jar, and goes to a point where Grievous and Anakin are traded. And with this, although the Separatists did manage to pull back from a complete disaster, they were not able to take the world of Naboo, and ultimately suffered more than they gained, with them barely being able to gain back Grievous because of a very specific circumstance. If it did not present itself, Grievous would have been taken out of this war. After a series of earthquakes has devastated in the world of Aleen, a Republic relief mission is sent, led by Commander Wolf, and including the droids C-3PO and R2-D2. After landing on the planet, 3PO is used to translate, and R2 is sent around to help with repairs and checking through information. While doing this, 3PO and R2 are brought to the attention of the people who want them to go and investigate a great seal that has been opened and they say is the cause of the earthquakes. They are shoved down into the tunnels and begin to investigate. While looking around, they find many odd things in there and are told that they need to go and help the people down there and separate the gap and close it. They are given a riddle which R2 easily solves, and with it he is launched out and figures out what he has to do. He goes and closes the seal, and that is able to stop the earthquakes, helping the planet, and after they finish up the relief mission, they prepare to leave. This, they are on a Republic cruiser preparing to return to Padme and Anakin, but with this, the ship is under attack and R2 leads 3PO to a Y-Wing so they can escape. After launching, they land on one mysterious planet and with it they meet a lot of small natives where they go and meet the big Jesus, who is their leader. With it, R2 is accidentally knocked over and crushes him, and with it, the people celebrate after the big Jesus has been killed since he was a terrible leader, and they want 3PO and R2 to rule them. 3PO sets up a democratic system for them, and they prepare to leave. Continuing on, they go to another planet where we see a large hologram tormenting the locals there. With it, R2 goes around and investigates, learning a bunch of pit droids are taking advantage of the people there and exposes them. With it, the people go and destroy the pit droids, and R2 and 3PO try to return to the Y-Wing but run out of power and are taken prisoner by Weequay pirates. And there they are forced into a battle arena where they're gonna fight to the death, but before that can happen, they're attacked by a separatist raider, which goes and takes them out, and they are captured by the separatists. And the separatists, thinking they're just pirate droids, when R2 tells 3PO to shut up and not tell them that they are Republic droids, they are going to be melted into a furnace. But before that happens, Plo Koon leads an attack on the ship where he eventually runs into them, and Wolf recognizes the droids from their previous mission together, and they are to be returned to Coruscant and Padme and Anakin. The Republic is attempting to retake the world of Umbara for its strategic importance. After breaking through the blockade, the Jedi generals prepare to go and lead off in different attack forces to try and take the planet. Obi-Wan Kenobi leads one, Anakin Skywalker leads the 501st, and Jedi Masters Ponga Krell and Saesee Tin are leading another attack. And with it, we begin to follow the 501st as they go and attempt to drop off and an attack with the Republic forces to try and take Umbara, needing to use lights and a lot more advanced systems, with the planet of Umbara being covered in eternal darkness. They go and land, dropping off ATRTs as they begin their attack. Anakin and Rex go and lead an attack against the Umbaran forces who are firing against them. The clones are doing well for now, even though they do come close to one of Umbara's many deadly perils within it. A creature that has many tentacles that tries to eat the clones, but Fives is able to kill it. As the Republic forces continue to move forward, as the 501st takes a brief rest, and Anakin and Rex go and begin to scout out what's going ahead and make plans for the future. But suddenly they are ambushed by the Umbarans, and with it they are being overwhelmed. Rex sees that there is no way they can win this in a conventional means and suggests that an airstrike is called. Anakin agrees, and Rex also suggests for them to get clear of this area just in case the bombs overshoot. Anakin agrees and draws his forces back. It turns out that Rex was correct because the bombing run did overshoot, and if they stayed where they were, they would have all been killed. With this, the Republic has gained a small victory, but a Republic gunship comes by, and General Pong Krell comes out, telling Anakin that he has been requested to return to Coruscant immediately by the order of the Supreme Chancellor, and for the time being, Krell will take command of the 501st. Although Anakin doesn't want to go, he does understand that the Chancellor would have a good reason for calling him, and he prepares to leave, introducing Krell to Rex, saying he is in his second in command. And Krell goes to Rex immediately after Anakin leaves and tells him he leads in a very different style to Anakin. He is very by the books, and he wants his orders to be followed without question. He orders them to march forward, and they continue on. And with it, they are going on a 12-hour march, and Rex goes to General Krell by the request of the rest of his men to see if they could get a short break since they've been marching for 12 hours straight. But Krell wants his strategy to be followed without question, telling him that they will continue marching as long as he says so. And instead of addressing Rex by his name, he addresses him by his CT number. And after some more time marching on, Krell goes with his strategy, although Anakin had a plan to go and launch a series of strikes against the capital. Krell wants him to march straight forward along the main road towards the capital, and Rex thinks that this plan is completely ridiculous and it will lead to far too much death when they already had a sound strategy. Krell says that he will not have his orders questioned and orders the march, telling them not to retreat under any circumstances. Continuing on to the march, Krell stays behind to watch the forces go, and many of the clones are complaining, saying that Krell has to be insane and the strategy makes no sense. And even though Rex disagrees with the strategy and he doesn't think it's right, he points out that he is the general and they have to follow orders to go and continue. With this, they continue on and they soon learn that the road has been mined. Two troopers sadly learn this out the hard way after stepping on one, and an ambush by the Umbarans is sprung, and with it, Rex is forced to make a hard call and retreats his forces, seeing there's no way for them to win. Returning, Krell is completely furious that Rex has disobeyed his orders. Even though some of the clones are afraid, Rex manages to hold his ground and points out that Krell's strategy is completely flawed and it cost lives of men who didn't need to die. Krell just simply dismisses Rex and tells him to leave. As the battle continues to go on, now that they have managed to win this battle for now, Krell is contacted by Obi-Wan Kenobi, who orders them to go and take a Umbaran air base, which is gaining support for the capital. And with it, Krell goes and orders his troops to march on. And with it, his orders include them going straight through a gorge that will leave them extremely vulnerable to attack. Even though Rex once again puts his objections, Krell goes with his usual strategy of saying that his orders will not be questioned and tells them to continue on the march. Many of the clones who've had a lot more experience are completely furious with this, seeing Krell as being even more insane than they thought, with him basically telling them march to their deaths. Although some clones who are younger, like a clone named Dogma, are more willing to accept these orders, saying that they have to follow every order without question. But some of the older clones, like Fives, go and continue to question Krill's orders, thinking that he is not fit to be leading them, although Rex convinces them they have to follow orders, at least for now. Continuing to march on, they are ambushed by more Umbaran forces, and with it they have many powerful weapons, including a worm-like machine that is attacking them and is very hard to go and damage. And with it, it takes them a while just to go and take them down with a missile launcher and thermal detonators. With it, they are barely able to take one out, and forces continue to come as Umbaran tanks begin to come and march on. And back behind in the entrance to the gorge, Krill watches from safety, and although the clones want to go help their brothers that are ahead, Krill refuses the order them to go forward and wants them to go and do this themselves. And during the fight, Rex is just forced to continue to take cover and try and figure out a better strategy. And with it, Rex gets an idea for a plan. And with it, he goes and contacts Krell about it. He tells Krell how he sent two of his troopers, Fives and Hardcase, to go and infiltrate the Umbaran base as they hold them off and they could use the Umbaran's own technology against them. Krell is furious, thinking that he is wasting time. He demands him to be called back and to continue their frontal assault on the base. With it, we see as Fives and Hardcase are going to infiltrate the base and continue on, managing to sneak in and steal two Umbaran starfighters, which they used to go and destroy the Umbaran forces, managing to take the base. Even though Krell did not like the circumstances that led to it, he is still glad that they were able to go and take the Umbaran base. Using it as a staging area, Krell and Rex are contacted by Obi-Wan Kenobi, who says that they need help retaking the capital, and with it, there's also problems with the supply lines being restored. Even though they did take this airbase, they are using a separatist ship to go and supply the capital with weapons and using it to attack. And with this, Krell is ready to go and assist with the taking of the Umbaran capital. He tells Rex they will go out in 12 hours to go and help with it. And Rex goes to pass the news down to the other clones. While the clones again are mainly furious, Dogma once again goes and tries to support General Krell, saying that he has to have a greater view of the war and the battle, but the clones are still really suspicious, and they have managed to go and break through the Umbaran codes and have figured out how to fly the starfighters. And with it, they're going to go and try and fly the starfighters inspired by how Anakin Skywalker destroyed a droid control ship as a child. Using the Umbaran codes, they'll be able to get into the Separatist supply ship and destroy it. Rex thinks it's a good plan and brings it to General Krell, who thinks that it's a dumb idea, and he says he can't waste any troops on this, even though it's a little hypocritical of him saying that since he goes and wastes many troopers' lives, which is something that the other clones see, and they are still willing to go along with it. And with it, a few of the clones are still willing to go and do this, but they have to break up the conversation after Dogma enters into the barracks, knowing they can't trust him with how loyal and by the books he is. And with it, Fives goes and tells them that they need to follow their orders, while Fives finds this ridiculous, saying that they are not droids and they are independent. And with it, they go off. And in the hangar, they are trying to go and master flying the Umbaran starfighters. And Hardcase accidentally goes and fires off a torpedo. And with it, They are forced to go and explain this to Krell, lying, saying there was a booby trap placed inside the starfighters. And with it, Krell thinks this is a thing to prove his point and says that they can't go and use these fighters for the attack. But the clones are still willing to go and do this. And the clones, Fives, Jesse, and Hardcase go and plan to do this attack. And the clones go and inform Rex that they are going to be disobeying orders. Rex says he's not going to stop them, but he also can't go and protect them after Krell figures out what they have done. And with it, the clones understand and accept the risks and continue on. And that night, Dogma wakes up and realizes that the three clones are gone, asking Tup what's going on. Tup, who does know the plan, is playing dumb, but Dogma doesn't want to hear it and tells Tup to come with them because they'd be committing treason also by not telling Krell. And with it, the fighters have already managed to launch, and Krell goes and demands to know what's going on. Although Rex said he can't go and fully cover for them, he says that he went and ordered the clones to go and do a recon of the battlefield to see how things went, and Krell tells him that he wants these reports and once they arrive, and Rex goes to leave, running into Dogma and Tup and sends them back to the barracks. And as this happens, the Republic forces of the three clones inside of the embargoed starfighters go and manage to get inside the hangar and begin to attack. Although ray shields haven't put up, Hardcase has an idea. Grabbing one of the Umbara weapons, he uses it to bring it up to the reactor, telling the other clones to get out. Hardcase sacrifices himself, blowing up the separatist ship as Fives and Jesse fly away to go and land, and both are placed under arrest. Even though Rex tries to claim responsibility, Fives says that it was all his idea and that he should suffer the consequences. And Krell court-martials them both and says they will soon be executed for their crimes. And with it, he continues on. Rex goes and tries to convince Krell that this is wrong and the clones should not be punished for this. But Krell is so fierce he goes and orders their immediate execution. And with it, Rex goes and is really troubled to tell both Fives and Jesse this, and he has brought up the clone firing squad is told to go and fire, and all of them go and decide to not execute their brothers, saying this is wrong after Fives goes and gives them a speech about how they should not be executed for this because they did the right thing. Dogma is furious and says they need to be executed, and Rex tells him good luck finding anyone to go and do it. And with it, Krell is still furious by all of this, and he is wanting to go and do more, but a call comes in from a clone and tells them that the Umbarans have went and taken clone armor and are planning an attack. With it, Krell orders Rex to take forces to go and fight against them. And with it, Rex goes and moves forward as he hears blaster fire begin. An attack is begun, and they fight with who they believe to be clones that are Umbarans in clone armor, but Rex quickly realizes that they are not Umbarans in clones armor, and they are actually clones. Completely horrified by this, he goes and pulls off the helmet of one of the others in the 212th Attack Battalion, and with it, it's revealed what has happened. All of the clones immediately stop firing and are completely horrified what has happened. And with it, Rex goes up to the leader that Kix is trying to go and heal, and it is Waxer. Waxer tells them that General Krell ordered them to go and attack Umbarans in clone armor, and after that, Waxer passes away. The clones are completely horrified by this, seeing Krell as a traitor who just ordered them to be killed. Rex goes and tells the other clones that what they're about to do is highly treasonous, but it has to be done, and anyone who wants to step down should do it now, and no one goes and does anything, all being willing to go and arrest Krell for his crimes and ordering friendly fire. Coming in, Dogma is the one who does go off to the side as the other clones go to march in, and they go and surround Krell, telling him that he is being under arrest for treason, and with it, Krell's laughing, saying he didn't think they would be smart enough to go and figure out his plan, and just tells how much he hates clones and thinks so little of them. He ignites his two double-bladed lightsabers, cuts through many clones, and jumps out. The surviving clones go to pursue Krell, and Dogma stands outside, saying that they cannot go and do this, they need to remain loyal. And with it, Rex tells them that they have to be willing to go and make their own decisions, and being a soldier does not mean doing everything that you're told without question. And they're not droids, so they're able to make their own decisions. And with this, Dogma sees there's no chance in winning here and is taken into custody by the other clones. And with it, the clones go and continue to chase Krell into the forest of Umbara and begin to fight with him. And Tup, being inspired by the attack that happened on Fives previously, goes and lures Krell towards one of the plants, which grabs him, and he is forced to fight that off. And with it distracting him, they are able to shoot him with a stun blast and imprison him. Going down to interrogate him, Rex goes and talks to Krell, trying to figure out why he's done this, and Krell admits that he is a separatist sympathizer and wants to join them and become apprenticed to Count Dooku. He says how he has foreseen that a new order is coming to control the galaxy, and the dark side will be in command, and with it, he wants to go and join the separatists, and Dogma is completely betrayed by this, saying that he trusted him and how could he do it, and Krell tells him that he was counting on blind loyalty like Dogma's to go and have his plan work. And with it, Rex is called away briefly and is told that the Republic forces have taken the capital, and the remaining Baran forces are going to try and take the airbase. And with it, Rex has a hard choice to make. He knows that he can't let Krell live because if they fail, it will be far too dangerous for Krell to go and join the Separatists, knowing so many Republic secrets. And he goes to try and execute him, but he can't do it. And a blaster shot does rig out, but it is Dogma, who was recently released from his cell to be taken out, who went and executed Krell, saying that he had to because of his betrayal, using Fives' blaster. Dogma knows what he did, was wrong, but it had to be done. And with it, Dogma is taken into Republic custody for going and killing a general, but with it, they have managed to have an ultimate victory, securing the world of Umbara. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.